All right, all right. Good evening. This is Coach Smith with Love the Game 24/7. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good this evening. Uh, I want to go ahead and get started here real shortly. Just want to welcome everybody to my first live here on Facebook with Love the Game 24/7. Look forward to building some great relationships with everyone here who's planning on joining. Just wait a few minutes, give it some time. Just give a couple of minutes here. All right, all right. All right, Facebook family, good evening, good evening. I know it's a little late, but I had to wait until I said Facebook, but I meant YouTube. I'm sorry, but I'll be doing both YouTube and Facebook uh, live streaming. Tonight, I won't be able to do both, but I will be doing our 30-day challenge this month with my content creator group that I'm involved with. We all have a 30-day challenge to put out some great content uh, based off our experiences um, that we've had in our lives that we can share uh, to our public, to our followers. And so I want to get plugged in here and get going, but I just want to give it a few minutes. I know some people are just joining. I want to give you time to get settled. I know it's a little bit later, but I know it's the summertime too, so I know some folks are still up, and I will be doing this earlier tomorrow, but I just want to definitely get my first live chat going here on YouTube. So let's see, what do we got going on here? All right, we got some folks that are getting plugged in, so just give a little more time. Good evening, good evening. This is Coach Smith with Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk. We're going to be talking about things that the young student athletes in high school, what they need to do to get prepared to play at the next level, to be at the next level. If that's their dream and their goal and their desire to play college level sports, we're going to be discussing that over the next 30 days on those types of things that high school students and parents. But also I'll be working with middle school students as well. So it won't just be high school students. I'm looking to work with any grade level from 7th through 12th grade. And so, but let me just go ahead and introduce myself for those who have not met me yet, who haven't seen some of my YouTube videos yet. My name is Coach Smith. I'm with Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk. And the goal of Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk is to equip you young student athletes and your parents on the college recruiting process, on how to get to the next level if that's your dream and that's your desire That's what we're going to be discussing on some of those steps and things, action steps that you need to be taking as a student athlete, and how your parents need to be sure that they get involved. And so let me just give a little bit of background about myself. I've been around the game of football since I've been 7 years old. That's from playing the game of football, playing in high school, playing in college, having an opportunity to play at the next level in the NFL and Arena Football League. I also had an older brother who played. We got to play college football together for a couple of years, and he went on to play in the NFL and the Canadian Football League and the Arena Football League as well. So that's some of my background as a person who played and who has been through these tough times and trying to get recruited and learning all this stuff on my own, and not having really a lot of help from our coach at the time. When we were coming up, we didn't have a lot of this information that kids have today. But we still have those struggles where a lot of kids and parents aren't well equipped, aren't well informed about this recruiting process. So with my playing experience from high school to college to pro, I have put together and devised a awesome plan to share with my community for those who are interested in playing at the next level. I have a lot of experience. I also have a master's degree, MBA in sports management and marketing. I've also done some consulting with NFL agents, some scouting, all those different things. So I have a wealth of knowledge and experience in this game of football, sports as well, because I also participated in track and field and basketball as a kid growing up. And I also did football and track while I was in college. So the two sports that I did from 7th grade all the way through 4 years of college, every year I played football and I ran track. And I thought that was very important that, I did two sports. I participated in two sports, and now as I've gotten older, I realized how important that was. And I did the same thing with my two sons as they grew up. But that's my credentials, my background. I have over a decade of coaching high school sports myself. Both my two older brothers have a high school coaching experience. I have an older brother right now that's coaching high school football back home in Florida. I'm currently located in North Carolina. And this is something that's always been on my heart since I've been a kid and dealt with the struggles of not being informed and feeling helpless with the recruiting process as a kid as I grew up. And so I didn't have my father passed away when I was in 9th grade. So my mom was a single mom at that time when I was in high school, and she didn't have a clue about any of this stuff. But as a kid, I just realized I didn't want, and as I got older, I never wanted anybody else to have to deal with the struggles of college recruiting. And so I put together all these things from my personal experience to help others to be able to be better informed and not to feel helpless as they go through this process. And so for those of you who are joining in, be sure to share this with different people that you know. If there's any family member or friend or neighbor, whoever that has kids from 7th through 12th grade that are playing sports, it doesn't have to be football. It can be any sport. This system and steps that I'm going to share tonight are just the beginning of some information that I'll be giving out to help get you through and guide you through this process of helping your student athlete fulfill their dream of going to the next level, and also using this as an opportunity for them to be able to supplement their education, their college education, with their gifts and talents on the playing field, whatever sport or activity that they're in that could potentially give them a scholarship to be able to participate and help pay for their education. To me, that's very important, very important. And so that's a little bit about myself and my experience. And also I can share with you, I didn't share with you as well, I have an older son who is currently playing in the NFL right now. He's getting ready to start his 5th year in the NFL. And so everything I'm sharing with you tonight that I had to learn for myself, I also use this same system for my own sons to help them get to the next level. And so I've been blessed to be able to use this system for my son and several other young men that I've mentored and still work with and use this system that I'm sharing, that I will be sharing over the next 30 days to help you all with the recruiting process. And so this is very important information, but be sure to share, this knowledge um, with, those who are um, looking to participate in college athletics, and to also use it as a tool, as a means to supplement their education. So that way it's not costing parents a whole lot of money to put their child through college when they have a gift and a talent to be able to go to college and get earn and achieve a athletic scholarship. And so I think that is very important. And so with all that experience that I have as a personally myself, and having a son, yes, Allegra, I appreciate that. I thank you for your comment. Good evening to you. And yes, I like to believe I have a proven track record and system. I appreciate your comments. But yes, definitely, I've been through this personally. I took my kids through it. Like I said, I have a son that's playing in the NFL right now, and I'm blessed and thankful. And I know what I have to share about assisting parents and their student athlete to get to the next level and beyond potentially. I have what it takes. I have the knowledge. I have the experience. I have the know-how. And like I said, I have over 10 years of over a decade of coaching college sports, and I also have over 20 years working in financial aid at the college and university level, and also for the Department of Education for the state of Florida when I was back living in Florida. So I have a host of experience that I can help parents navigate through all of this process. And so tonight, I just want to take time and share my 6-step concept called D.R.I.V.E.N. And so that's an acronym um, that I've put together over the years, and just from my experience. And so D.R.I.V.E.N as an acronym that we would use for our 6-step process on the recruiting process for parents and student athletes. That D stands for you got to be determined. You got to have some dedication, and you have to have some drive. And that's why we call it love the game 24/7, because you have to love the game 24/7. Okay. It has its place, but when you're at this season of your life as a parent with kids in junior high and high school, you got to make sure you get them involved in something like this. You got to invest. I invested in a lot of different things to be sure that my kids got the training and the knowledge and experience, not just from dad, just from me personally, but there are other people that I was blessed to be able to come in contact with that knew some things more than I did. And I made sure that they were involved and they got that information, and we utilized that information. But when it comes to this sports level, I had 2 older brothers who got scholarships as well in sports, and got their education paid for. And I did the same thing, following behind my 2 older brothers, and pursuing that dream of being able to play at the college level. So that D in driven, and that's in the 6 steps that we're talking about. You got to keep your determination no matter what. You got to stay dedicated to the vision. You got to stay dedicated to the dream that you have of being able to go to the next level and playing and achieving and earning an athletic scholarship to help supplement your education, because it's very doable. There are more than enough colleges and universities where you can go play Division I, Division FCS, 1AA, in Division II football, and if necessary, Division III. But I believe, if you're a very good athlete, you can play anywhere from Division I to Division II football and get your education paid for. And in most cases, you can get a full scholarship, full ride. It's taking care of your meals, your tuition and fees, and your books and your housing. That's very important, because that stuff can get very expensive. So you have to keep that drive and that determination. You have to be sure you're dedicated. You got to be sure you keep that and stay focused. Okay. Step number 2 are relationships. You got to be sure that you're making good relationships with your teammates, with your teachers, with your coaches, um, with your classmates. No matter what, you got to be sure that you are, just building good relationships with people. Because, recruiters, when they come recruit you in high school, they're going to ask the cafeteria lady, they're going to ask that janitor, they're going to ask these questions, because they want to know, what kind of person you are. And it's very important that you have some very good relationships that you're building, as a young person, and parents, we're helping and guiding our kids and be sure they're doing that. And we're also being an example as parents of being sure that we show our kids our, good, healthy relationship building skills. And so, that's definitely, one of the next steps in driven. You got to have good relationships. Next is I in driven. Involve parents. You got to be involved. You got to be sure you are, team mom, team dad, whatever it is, coaching. I coach my kids in Little League. I coached them in high school. I had the blessing to do all those things. But however and wherever you can be involved, as a parent, you need to be involved. And your students need to be involved in some other things, outside of sports, making themselves a well-rounded individual, and so, but parents, you definitely got to be involved in this, uh, this dream of helping your student athlete get to the next level. I hate to say it, but I'm in the coaching business, and I know there's a lot of times, student athletes aren't getting the help sometimes from their coaches, and sometimes parents, you're expecting, that the coach is doing some things that may not be happening. So you got to get involved. You got to be sure you build a good relationship with the coaches as well as a parent. But you got to stay involved. You got to be involved through this recruiting process with your student athlete. You got to be involved with their social media presence. You got to be sure that these our student athletes are making sure that they don't just have any and everything on their social media, because these colleges and universities, as I tell you, currently I work in financial aid as assistant director at a state university here in North Carolina. But I also can tell you, when I was back in Florida and I worked at one of the state universities there locally in the Tampa Bay area, I know that these coaches will get intern students who want to go into sports management, and they'll work on behalf of the athletic department. And for whatever sport it is, whoever those coaches are recruiting, men's and women's sports, they have these interns who will watch your social media. So parents, you got to stay involved and be sure you stay on top of your child's social media presence and what they're getting into, and you got to remind them. And my son right now, who's playing NFL, will tell you he appreciated us staying on him as he got old and realized. And even being in the NFL, they rate and grade these guys on their social media presence. They're paying you millions of dollars, hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars. They are grading these players on their social media presence. These colleges and universities are making their decisions on whether they're going to give you a scholarship, sometimes based on your social media presence. So parents, stay involved with that. No matter what your student athlete tells you, you better have access to little Johnny and Susie's social media so you can monitor that for them and help, keep them accountable. Coaches, some coaches, they'll do a good job of that as well in making sure they monitor some of their student athletes' social media presence. So parents, be involved. V in driven stands for volunteerism. That's for parents as well as student athletes. Sometimes you need to have something that gives you a break from that sport that you're in, that you can get involved in going to nursing homes or volunteering at the hospital, volunteering reading to little kids or tutoring, young kids. And, it can help these young student athletes, appreciate their opportunities that they've been given, and also help keep them, focused, being able to help some other person, helps them build, some confidence and some respect and different things like that, and they'll appreciate things better if you get them in some sort of volunteerism projects. I know some schools, like my sons were in private school, they have a volunteerism part for private school kids. I know at the public schools back in Florida, because they had a Bright Future scholarship that you could earn, and they had a volunteerism part mechanism connected to it in order to get that Bright Future scholarship. And I know there's some other states that do the same thing, because it's very important, that you have your academics and your test scores and all those things in order. But you need to do some volunteerism. That looks good when coaches are recruiting you and they see that you have volunteerism, because when you get to the college level, there are things that you're going to do that those colleges do, especially when you're playing Division I and major college football. They are involved in their community. They're involved in that area where those schools are located, and they are expecting their student athletes, when they are asked to come see some of their fans, wherever it may be, some kid at a hospital, they expect their student athletes to be very good representatives of that institution that you're giving that scholarship to, that you're representing. And so you're going to be asked to do some volunteerism. So start early, start young, middle school, high school, get them going on that. That is very important. And that, like I said, when coaches are recruiting your student athlete, that looks good. That when they fill out that college athletic questionnaire, that they can put down that they volunteer and do different things, that's going to be very impressive. You know, that's going to help you, land multiple scholarship offers. That's what Love the Game 247 Sports is all about, that we're talking about, how to get you multiple scholarship offers. And these are some of the things that I'm telling you right now, these 6 steps that I'm going through, this acronym D.R.I.V.E.N, that's going to help you get these multiple scholarship opportunities. And so just be sure that you volunteer, find something that's dear to your heart, close to your heart. It may be something that you've dealt with in your family personally, and you want to give back and you want to volunteer in that specific area. It could be, maybe a mom or somebody in a loved one may have died from cancer, like I had the experience of a father passing away from cancer. You want to be involved and give to something like that. And so I think it's very important that you have a volunteering experience as a young person and serving. And so the next uh, letter is E, in driven. And this is definitely important. You got to do everything in excellence. Remember, I didn't say perfectionism. I said do everything in excellence. It means give your all to your dream. Give your all, your focus, to this goal and this dream and desire that you have. Do it in excellence. When you're at practice, do it in excellence. Give an excellent attitude. If you make a mistake, I used to tell my players, if you make a mistake, if you did it full speed, hey, you know, then I got to do a better job in coaching. Because if you did it full speed, that means I know you weren't thinking, that you must have just knew that's what you were supposed to do, even if you were wrong. But if you did it full speed and it was the wrong thing, then I know, hey, I can't blame you. I got to check myself as a coach, because maybe I need to do a better job in coaching. But do everything in excellence. Your preparation, know the game plan that you need to do to get ready for those Friday night lights to come on. And scouts are going to be there watching. You got to have that right attitude, but do it in excellence. Be an excellent teammate. Sometimes your teammates might forget what they're supposed to be doing, but you be that guy, you be that young lady, that, everybody's assignment. There was one thing that my father told me when I was young, and I still remember this to this day, is that he told me, don't just love the game only though, but if you love the game, you got to be a student of the game. Be a student. Know why you're doing on this play, why the coach is telling you to do this on a certain play. Know why you're supposed to run this route if you're playing football, because maybe that you're not the primary guy, but because you ran your route correctly, you open it up for your teammate that made a big play or got a touchdown. But because you did what you were supposed to do in excellence, because you knew what you were supposed to do, you were able to help your teammate make a play. And so when it comes around for your opportunity, they're going to remember, hey man, I know Jeff busts his tail for me every time when we're out there, and he helps me out, and I'm going to return that same favor. But preparation and excellence. You got film that your coaches want you to view and watch, to prepare before the game. That stuff comes out in the week. You got to, during the week. So you got to be sure you view your film. You got to be sure you're staying on top of your academics as well, studying, doing those types of things. And so you got to make sure you have a good schedule. You're getting good rest, because you have this goal that you're trying to pursue. Get around people that's smarter than you. Never feel like, don't ever be, the smartest person in the room or in your group. You got to add some folks that that's smarter than you, so you can help you do some things in excellence, more in excellence, because, and like I said, I didn't say perfectionism. I know some people have that spirit, and that's their thing. But, even in perfectionism, you got to realize what perfectionism is. It doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. It means you're going to learn from your mistakes, and you're not going to beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up, because everybody's going to make mistakes. But if you genuinely in your heart gave your all, you gave for participating in this, in your preparation and your participation in practice, you're on time, you're where you're supposed to be, you're doing your assignments, on the field and in the classroom, the assignments, just all that stuff that goes together, with that. And, and it takes a lot. It takes some dedication. Like I said, with the D, it takes some dedication, some determination and some drive. But in the end, it's going to pay off when on signing day, national signing day, and you have several offers to choose from, so do everything in excellence, your preparation, everything in excellence. And then the last thing in driven in our 6 steps is never ever give up on your dream, on your goal. I don't care whether you don't have anybody helping you, like in my situation growing up in high school, I didn't really have a lot of help. I will say I did have some older guys when they would come home during the summer or break time for the holidays. Some of those guys would tell us, hey, man, this is what y'all need to do. I always made a point to listen because I wasn't ever giving up on my dream because I didn't have a coach who wasn't willing to help us, because he wasn't. He was actually turning people away from us. Major college, we're a top football program in the state of Florida. We were one of the top schools in the state in 3A, during my time, and we've had a lot of guys out of my high school that went to college, played pro ball, all that kind of stuff. And those guys used to make a point to come back and tell us young guys what we need to do because we had a coach, because they knew we had a coach that wasn't helping us because they went through it. And I made a point to listen to what they had to say. And that's how I've come up with this 6 steps that I'm telling you right now. And there's more to it. There's some other things, a lot more to this thing that we're going to be talking about during these 30 days. And there's some webinars and different things I'm going to put together for people who want to join and be a member of Love the Game 24/7. And so, we'll have a membership fee and things like that I'm working on. But I want to be able to walk, you student athletes and your parents through so it's not so difficult and frustrating and stressful, because it can be. But when you don't know anything, it's times 10, with the frustration, So I'm here to help alleviate all of that frustration, clear some things up, help smooth some things out, help you and your student athlete parents, fulfill that dream and get them where they deserve and where they should be, because they've kept to the driven model, but never ever give up on your dream of playing at the next level. And as I said earlier, there's more than enough schools in this country, in this, in this game or any sport. There's a lot of scholarships for females that go unused, and I remember growing up with a lot of young ladies who were very talented in track and other sports that didn't use their ability to go to college and pay for their education. And that stuck with me. I'm telling you, that stuff stuck with me. Even when I was a young person, just wondering, like, man, why weren't my sisters going off to college with scholarships when they were undefeated in track and field all my 4 years in college? I mean, these girls were awesome. And some only maybe a couple got scholarships when all of them should have had scholarships. But I know after talking to them as we got older, some of them didn't know anything about what to do. And there's some parents, man, that don't have a clue, and they just leave it to their kids sometimes, and you can't do that. You got to be involved. You got to hold the coach accountable. I'll give you an example of the program that I coached most of my career in high school, where my 2 sons went. Coach Davis, you talk about an awesome example as a head coach and running his program. He would meet with every kid from the JV football team and the varsity football team, whether they want to go play college football or not. He still sat down with them to find out what was their ambition, what was their goal, why were they playing high school football. And he knew some guys just enjoyed being out there, which is fine, which is great, but he at least took the time to sit down with every young man in our program every season. So that means those guys met with him 4 times a year, 4 times, during their high school career until they got ready to sign scholarship. He was an awesome example of what a coach should be. He was the epitome of what a head coach should be putting into his athletes and helping them and guide them to to playing at the next level. And he would be honest with you and tell you, well, I don't know if you can play Division I, or whatever the case may be. He was just honest, and he would sit down with those guys, and I know I've sat in some of those meetings because I helped coach JV and varsity football for him during that time, even before my sons got to the high school and after I stayed on coaching with him, and I learned a lot from this, from Coach Davis, John Davis. I'm giving you a plug, Coach Davis. So you better get on my next live. I'm gonna make sure you get on my next live, but I'm giving you a plug. He's retired now, but I tell you what, I learned so much from Coach Davis about what a coach should be like and what a coach supposed to be like. And I know just talking with him, and he and I sometimes would just sit down and talk, and he would tell me personally, like, Jeff, there's a lot of lazy coaches. He's like, I hate to see it in our profession in high school. There's a lot of coaches, because he's had to help a lot of other young men that he didn't coach at his high school that would come calling him or come meet with him. And, they were at a high school down the street somewhere, but he would do everything he could to get any young man or young lady, anybody. But because he was coaching football, he would do anything to try to help a young person get into college. He was a retired sheriff deputy. But you're talking about a good-hearted man and was a good example of what coaches should be like. Coach Davis was that. And that's where a lot of this information that I have that I want to share, where it comes from, that, you never want to ever give up on that dream. I don't care what it feels like. And so here, Love the Game, 24/7 Sports Talk is here to help alleviate those issues. Okay. And, more than ever now, we have a lot more of these high school 7-on-7 things that you see, or recruiting services that you see. And why do you think we have that? It's definitely much more prevalent today than it was when I was growing up. And the reason why we have that is because some coaches are not doing their job that I think they should be doing. And they possibly need to find another profession, or don't coach if you're not about helping young people fulfill their dream of going off to college and potentially have an opportunity to play the next level. If that's not your goal, you just can't, as a coach, it just can't be. I'm trying to help you parents right now. You don't want to be somewhere where that coach is, he or she is just all about their program, that moment, not about trying to build young men or women that can potentially represent that school at the next level. And to me, any coach, if he's putting kids in college, he's going to get he's going to get athletes that want to come play for him, and always have a good program, because kids are going to be watching. Parents, you should be watching what schools in my area right now that I know have a good reputation. Not just they are winning high school, but they're winning high school because they put people in college at the next level. Those are the high schools that you need to go get involved in and find out and start searching. So that means that parents, if you got to move and relocate, like that's what I was in the process of doing with my two boys. I was getting ready to relocate, but because they went to a private school, I didn't have to worry about relocating. But my wife and I had talked, and we were ready to relocate because we were willing to invest into our children, however we needed to. I didn't put, because of my knowledge, I never invested enough in a 529 plane. I knew too much. I know too much about how this thing works. And so I never put away. I invested when my kids when they were babies. When they came out the womb, my son had a football and baseball, both of them. I was already trying to implant in them what I wanted them to do, and they were good students. They played instruments. We did all of that stuff for our kids. I invested it not just in sports. I invested in making sure they were in reading clubs, making sure they were in the summer. They were in summer book club, reading clubs. I had them play golf. I had them play all kind of sports. But I already had embedded in their head when they came out of their mother's womb that this is how we paying for your education. This is how pops, mom, and dad gonna be investing in your education. We're gonna do it up front and early. So on the back end, when it's time for you to get that scholarship, whether it be academics, athletics, they were prepared. And a lot of parents sometimes, don't do that, and you got to start early. You got to start when they're young, and embed that impression in their minds early, and parents, you should be able to read your kids and see what talents and gifts that they have, in athletics, academically, musically. If they got a musical talent, you got to start early, and it's not too late. That's why I said right now, 7th grade through 12th grade, we got to get in on this. We can't waste any more time. Your investment, parents, it has to be on this front end. So on the back end, you can be smiling on signing day that your student athlete has followed that driven model, and they've stuck to it, and they got multiple scholarship opportunities in front of them, sitting in front of them, and they got all the hats, and they can sit there and go on social media and post their video on their national signing day, making a decision on where they're going to school, and that's the exciting part. That's fulfilling when you know that you followed this driven model you've done all these things that I just discussed tonight and shared, and and your student athletes, hey, they're not perfect. They're gonna make mistakes, and we got to be there to catch them. We got to be there to to console them. And sometimes parents, you also got to find some other people that you trust to speak into your child's life. Like a coach, that you have a relationship with. You know, maybe it's an uncle or aunt, somebody. Maybe it's somebody in the church, because we were very involved in our church as kids as well. I taught Sunday school and Bible study for my kids' age group. Every year my kids came up, I was the Sunday school teacher. I was the midweek service teacher, because I wanted to be sure I was there. And we had, and I got other men in the church who saw my example volunteering as well. Because I saw it modeled before me as a kid growing up. And so I wanted to model that before my kids and to other men as well, to step up, and do my part. So I was that Sunday school teacher for my boys as they grew up. And so all those things you have to invest in on the front end, you know. But like I said, this is what Love the Game 24/7 Sports is all about. You have to love the game, you know. And I told my sons, they had the girlfriends and things like that. And I told them, no, 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 no. At this point, and my son would tell you right now, both of them would tell you right now, your first girlfriend is your mama, and your next girlfriend are those academics and that sport or music or whatever talent you have that's going to pay for your education. That was it. And I said, the girlfriend, she's like fourth or fifth down the line. I'm not saying you can't have a girlfriend, but we're going to teach you how to be responsible when it comes to having a girlfriend. And so, like I remind them, there's some things we had to let them do, so because they got to grow up and make decisions. But they're going to remember, how to make those decisions because of what they were taught at home, And so, but I always told my son, hey, there's always going to be time for that young lady. And if I had a daughter, I would tell her the same thing. There's always going to be time for that knucklehead boyfriend that you're trying to have, you know. And I'm getting ready to be blessed with I have my first grandbaby. He's going to turn 1 next week, and we got our first grandbaby girl coming the end of the year, and I'm already preparing, to be that pop-up for my grandson and my grandbaby girl that's coming. I'm gonna be fine. My son will hold my son to the same plan that I'm teaching you all and talking to you all about tonight. He will be following this. And now I tell you what, it's already in him. He already knows it. He already knows his plan, because that's what his mom and dad, that's what we did, and that's what we modeled, and that's what I invested. Already, yes, that's right. Look, I'm already praying for those grandbabies. I already got it worked out and figured out. And we're gonna do this thing, as long as God allow me to be here for that, I'm gonna be front and center with them babies of mine, So the plan is already in place, and I'm just excited about it, and I'm excited about what Love the Game 24/7 Sports is going to accomplish, and how we're going to be able to bless and help parents and their student athletes fulfill their dream and their goal at the next level, and so, and if it's promising that they can get to the next level in professional sports, I have the experience in that as well. As I said, for over 20 years, I've been working with GMB Sports Agency that represents my son. I've been a consultant with GMB Sports Agency out of Dallas, Texas. Garrett Blair, look him up. GMB Sports is awesome. We have several young men in the NFL that's being represented, and my son happens to be one of them. And so I've been a part of GMB Sports Agency, trying to help be sure we guide these young men about their first generational wealth building in their families. A lot of these guys that's having this opportunity to be at the next level. And so I've been consulting with GMB for quite some time, even before my son got to the next level, because I know the young man that started that company years ago, and I brought a lot of young men his way that he's been able to represent and help. And I continue to do that as today, and will continue to do that because I know this is something that's been on my heart for years, all my life, because of the experience that I went through, that I don't want anybody else to have to experience, having to go through that tough road. But I knew God had me go through it for a reason, for a time such as this, and all this is new to me, being on YouTube Live and eventually going to be on IG and Facebook Live as well, promoting, Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk. And we're going to be promoting some of our other content creators that are part of our group. We're going to be helping each other. And I appreciate you guys tonight, stopping through and visiting with me. And I just hope that, you were given some great information that you can take with you and share, my YouTube link with somebody that that needs some assistance because they are playing sports. There's a young man or young lady that family member, it doesn't matter, neighbor. Be sure to let them know about Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk, because that's what we're here for, and we're going to make our mark in helping families. And so, so I'm doing my 30-day. This is my first video or live doing our 30-day challenge, and it's been exciting. And I'm looking forward to doing some more things and more little topics that we'll talk about that goes along with my D.R.I.V.E.N 6 steps model for getting multiple athletic scholarship opportunities. And so just once again, I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. And so look for me earlier next time. I won't be as late. I just had to wait for my verification from YouTube to get completed around 9:30ish. And so I got jumped on as soon as they gave me my clearance. I jumped on and wanted to share about what Love the Game 247 Sports Talk is all about. And so, but yeah, I look forward to sharing some more, and I'll be back again. Like I said, in these 30 days tomorrow, I'm looking to be starting on a regular basis around 7:30 and not 9:30, but 7:30, starting much earlier. But we'll be talking about camps. I will have a free ebook that I would give out on the importance of summer football camps or summer athletic camps. And they don't just have to be football, but the importance of summer camps at the colleges. So I have an ebook that I'll put out. I'm still finishing up a few little things on it. So if I don't put it out tonight, it'll be out first thing tomorrow on my Facebook. So please go out and join Love the Game 24/7 on Facebook, and you'll be able to click on the link to join, and you can become a member of Love the Game 24/7 Sports on Facebook, on my Facebook page. And I'll be putting out a lot of great information on that on Facebook, and I'll be sharing it on all the other social medias as well, on IG, as well as to be on YouTube as well. But it'll be on IG, and it'll also be on TikTok, because I have a TikTok that I'm on. So I will be sharing a free ebook on the importance of, like I said, summer camps, summer athletic camps. Mainly you're going to hear me talking about football, because that's more my football, my background, football and track and field. But as I said before, this could be used for any sport, whether male or female. These same steps I'm talking about, same model that I'm sharing, goes for any sport. But that free ebook will get put out here real soon, that you can take a look at, and that will be something that we will talk about tomorrow night as I come back tomorrow night and share on Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk. And hopefully I'm hoping that I can also live stream on Facebook tomorrow as well, while I'm on YouTube on live stream at the same time, and take questions. And I don't know if anybody got any questions, feel free to ask me a question. I can see the chat. You can ask me questions, and I'll try to answer anything here for a few minutes if there's any. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing. And also, as I finish getting all this set up, I will be putting out some webinar opportunities as well on different topics, from fitness, what student athletes should be doing when it comes to fitness, age appropriate training, that kids can start doing now, even in middle school. They're going to be a lot of different topics to talk to prepare your student athlete for multiple scholarship opportunities that they need to be doing, and what parents need to be doing. This is important information. And thank you, Allegra. I appreciate your compliment and everything. I appreciate you joining tonight and taking some time with me. And I'll be for sure joining and jumping on on yours as well. And I know we have a real tight knit group here, and we're everybody supporting each other, and it's great. So thank you. Um, and like I said, once again, I'll be hitting on various topics, but I also will be sharing, you know, um, how you can, if you want to pay for having me as a personal coach. There's some things I did. I got my son; he was a quarterback. There were some things I couldn't do for my son. Um, to teach him as a quarterback, there's some things I could, but I got him a personal coach at quarterback. When he got to a certain age, I think it was 8th grade, I got him a personal quarterback coach because that was something he was good at, and it was worth the investment because it got him a scholarship, full scholarship to Boston College, ACC. And so you got to invest sometimes in those things just as much as you invest in the TV games and all that, all those other things. You got to invest. If you see that your student athlete has that potential, you got to start investing in it. You got to sometimes get them a personal coach, you know, and you also, as they get to high school, that's something you definitely want to be sure you communicate with the high school coach because you don't want to have your student athlete doing too much, you know, and burning them out. You got to monitor those things. Um, but we're going to talk about all that, an opportunity to have me as a personal coach, um, and also to join some of our group webinars. I'll be putting out some membership opportunities for that, to join some of those webinars. I got folks that's working with me and helping me with that to put all that stuff together. And I'm excited about all those things coming up. But we're going to hit it from A to Z. And I'm looking forward to being able to post you people that'll be a part of Love the Game 24/7 when their kid gets ready to sign their national letter of intent to go off to college, their full scholarship or whatever scholarship they have. That I want to share that stuff. I'm looking forward to sharing that stuff on our group page, on all the social medias, because as a parent and as a student athlete, you committed to love the game 24/7 model, to help you get multiple scholarship offers. We're going to definitely promote you and help you build your brand as well, because in the day of social media right now, even though we have social media, it has changed recruiting somewhat, but there's still some things that haven't changed about it. That college recruiter is still coming to your campus. They're not relying on social media only to build a relationship with you. They're going to want to build a personal relationship with you. We'll be talking about that kind of stuff too. I'm not going to leak everything out at one time, but we're going to talk about it, and we're going to help. And parents, you got to be willing to invest. You know, um, and I know I had to do it, and it paid off for me. I think since both of my sons have graduated from college several years ago, combined with both of them in college, the only debt. Hear what I'm telling you right now, because of what the things that I'm going to be teaching, and that you should be looking forward to investing in. Hear what I'm about to tell you right now. The only debt, okay. Hear what I'm saying. You hear right now. Like I said, I work in financial aid, so I know the student loan debt. We just had the um, Supreme Court deny student loan forgiveness. That could have been a huge benefit to a lot of people. You know, I know I wasn't on full scholarship my first year because I was still waiting on some Division I offers to come through, um, and some help from my coach that didn't come. And so I signed with a Division II school where my brother attended, Morningside College, which in Sioux City, Iowa. Never was able to take a visit. I knew, um, my brother was up there. We drove him up there for college, so that was the only time I ever saw the campus. But it was my last resort after waiting for. I had some other options. I'm not going to sit there and tell you I didn't have some other options, but I decided to take that Division II option and sign with Morningside, where my one older brother was. Um, and because of that, I had like $10,000 or $12,000 of student loan debt that I had to take for my first year in college. So when I graduated, I had to get a loan to, take care of, you know, that debt that I had. And so, but hear what I'm about to say. When my two boys come out of college, having my oldest having athletic scholarship, my youngest having, he decided he didn't want to play sports anymore, which was cool, but I still had a plan for that because I worked in financial aid. So at the college I worked, because of my years of service, he had a year and a half of free tuition his last year and a half in college. And his tuition at his college where I was working was 20 plus thousand a semester, not a year, 20 plus thousand a semester. And he had state academic scholarship money. He had institutional scholarship money. The kid was smart, it wasn't a bad decision that he didn't want to play sports anymore, because he was just brilliant, smart. Both my boys were smart, but this young one, man, he's just brilliant young man. So I wish he would have kept playing baseball because he was very talented. But, he told me, Dad, look, I'm gonna work it out. You ain't gonna have to worry about it. And he did, because of his academics and how smart he was, or he still is. But between the two of them in college, the only debt that came out was $10,000 or $12,000. People are coming in debt in over six figures. When I shared that with my youngest son, I told him, I said, ask some of your friends what kind of debt they have coming out of college. They couldn't believe all he had was $10,000 or $12,000 in debt, educational debt, come when he graduated. That's all. That's it. Because I had the plan, because I knew the plan, because I worked that plan. From my own personal experience, I worked the plan. I worked the driven plan from my own personal experience on the academic side and the athletic side. My kids do not have tons of debt when they came out of college. As a parent, we don't have tons of debt to have to pay back for our kids. No, as a matter of fact, we don't have any debt as a parent paying back for our kids' education. My youngest son just had like $10,000 or $12,000 in a student loan that he got. Other than that, he don't have any other debt. And here the Supreme Court just denied some loan forgiveness that could help people, But with this plan that I'm telling you right now, folks, with Love the Game 24/7 Sports, for those of you who have student athletes, male and female, because I'm telling you right now, I've sat in my office over these 24 plus years in financial aid and have sat with students and parents, and that student turned down scholarships to come to whatever school I was working at the time, where they could have gone potentially almost debt free to college if they would have chose to take a scholarship, And so this is what I'm telling you. Parents need to be advised, needs to be guided and advised on, if you have a child, you need to start embedding in them now early, that whatever talent they have, that's what we're going to be using to help supplement their education, because it's possible. There may be some scholarships for you to stand on your head. If somebody give it to you, to stand on your head, you stand on your head. There might be somebody to give it to you. I don't know. But when you have a child that is athletically talented, musically inclined and talented, that's your plan. I'm not going to tell you not to do a 529 plan. If you want to do those things, that's great. I didn't have it wasn't no backup plan. This was my plan. I didn't have a backup. This was it. Because of what I grew up experiencing, what I knew. This was it. And I wasn't doing anything else. I stuck to this plan. I stuck to investing in my kids. I invested in money and time and experience with my kids, so they can get their education paid for. And I'm telling you, it works. So let's get on board with Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk. Make sure, the link is in that bio. You can join up with me, and get on Love the Game 24/7 on Facebook. Join my Facebook page. Let's get things going. Let's get you this information so you don't feel helpless and that you don't feel uninformed, so we can get this determination and dedication and drive going with your student athlete and with you as well, parents. Start building these relationships. Be sure you get involved, parents, in every kind of way, and get your kids involved in the things that they need to get involved in. Let's get them volunteering. Make sure we get them volunteering. Let's be sure we do all that stuff in excellence. All those things I talked about prior, let's do it in excellence. And then let's get that in and never give up on your dream and that opportunity. Parents. And parents, it has to be your kid's dream. You can't force feed them any of this. But your kid is your student athlete is going to show you at a young age what they're talented at. It ain't gonna be hard to figure out. All you have to do is expose them to some different things. And then when you see what sport it is that they take up real easy and that they have a love for, they have a love for, you know, and that's what you start. And it's more than one too now. It's more than one sport. But then there's one they probably love, and then you got to decide, okay, even though they love this sport, which one is going to allow them to get that scholarship sooner? You know, give them more of a chance of getting a scholarship. I'll give you an example. I got a young man right now, University of Central Florida, a D lineman. Okay. He came to the last private school I worked before I moved to North Carolina. He came to our high school wanting to play basketball. He was 6'5", in 10th grade. He came to us. He was 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds, 245, 50 pounds. And he was a decent basketball player, you know. And I went to watch him play basketball, you know, to see what his game was like, you know. And for a big man, he could move on his feet real good, you know. But I shared with them with this basketball, you know, basketball is a little different than football. You know, they start these kids early in middle school as well. Start early, elementary, middle school, you know. And I told them, I said, look, because you played basketball and you need to keep playing basketball, but because you played basketball, it has made you an awesome football player. He had never really played football until he got to our high school in 10th grade. He messed around with it, I think, a little bit, but he didn't stick with football. He loved basketball. He played basketball. But when he came to our school following some of his basketball teammates who also played football. He decided, hey, I'll just go ahead and play football because my basketball buddies are playing football too. Literally, this is what he decided, which was a great decision on his part. And I made a point to pull him aside and let him know. I said, hey, you're not going on basketball scholarship. I said, I told him, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're not going on basketball scholarship. You're not him on the basketball court, but you are him on that football field. And because you played basketball and you have such good feet for your size, everybody is going to want to recruit you for football. And sure enough, Alabama, Nick Saban, everybody, Texas, everybody, every major Division I school was pretty much on this kid, recruiting this kid. And he realized, you know, football was his way, was his way out. You know, he wasn't a bad kid, wasn't in trouble or anything like that, but football was his way of getting his education. And he realized that, even though he came there for something else. But I took the time, as well as some other coaches, not just me, but I took the time to pull him to the side and say, look, you know, forget about basketball. Keep playing it because you're going to need it to help you with your football talent. And he kept playing, and he still does. He comes home, you know, back home in St. Pete, Florida, and he messes around with it. But it helped him be a great football player, and he's on full scholarship at University of Central Florida, and will have a chance to get drafted when he comes out of UCF next year, or whenever he comes out if he stays another year. But he will have an opportunity to go to the NFL because the kid was just phenomenal in high school. He was a beast. You know, he was all that, and so he listened. You know, I don't know. I know I talked to his parents. I think his mom a couple of times, and they would come to games. I let them know, hey, this boy is going to get recruited for football. And everybody, every major Division I school, when spring football in Florida happens, everybody was there to see that young man play football. Nobody came to see him play basketball, but everybody came to see him play football. And he listened, and he did what he needed to do, and he's on full scholarship at UCF. And if he stays healthy, he will have a chance to go to the next level. And so this is what I'm talking about. And so I'll leave that, finish up with that. But thank you guys. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow on this 30-day challenge. I'm going live on YouTube and Facebook and IG. And so, but you all have a good night. And you know, if you got any questions and you come on tomorrow, you know, have some questions. I'll try to answer some more questions tomorrow. But I just want to take this initial time of what Love the Game 24/7 Sports Talk is all about. And so, and I hope you guys share with your friends about Love the Game 24/7 Sports and how we could be a huge part in helping you and your student athlete get to the next level and get their education paid for. I appreciate you guys. Have a blessed night. Look forward to seeing you again All right, and talking with you again and answering some questions. All right, y'all. Be easy and peace and love the game 247. Remember that. Have a good evening.